Hey, Christy. Um,
Hello, sir. How are you tonight?
hey, I'm tired. Sorry, I was running a few minutes late. I tried to fit in a mini meeting before yours. It didn't work so well.
It's fine, and I only have a couple of questions for you.
Okay.
I believe I know which journal I want to submit an article to.
Uh-huh.
It's the publication for the Association of Higher Education and Disability. They have a research journal that's called the Journal of Post-Secondary Education and Disability. And I've written to get the specifications. And of course, I know from reading other research articles what it should look like. But my question is, do I need to cite myself from my dissertation as I'm giving findings or various things like that? Because I want to make sure that I'm doing it properly. And
I
I'm like,
don't
well, I
think
think,
so. No, I don't think so.
okay.
Um, you said you wrote to get the specifics?
Yes, well, they gave an email address for more information.
Okay.
So I went to that email and just, submitted what the idea of the article is, what my research was, and hopefully I'll hear something back. But they, I mean, it sounds like to me it would be a great fit. So
Yeah.
that's going to be my first pitch. And then I guess if I get rejected from that, then I will go into maybe some other autism type journals.
Remind me
That's
what your study was about. Just one.
it was the qualitative study of students who have autism, primarily neurodiverse college students who are underperforming academically.
Um, hmm. Just a sec. I'm looking at something.
Okay.
I'm always looking at something except when I'm sleeping. But that being
Right.
said, um, something that you may, huh. All right, this is on their website. They're saying JPED does not currently have an impact factor.
What
Um,
does that mean?
okay, so um, I don't know. Do you ever watch college sports?
Yes.
Okay, who do you cheer for?
I really like Notre Dame.
I was really hoping you'd say Razorbacks, but okay.
Well, I do like Arkansas, but I live in Tennessee, so I do pull for the Vols a little bit too,
I
which
don't
is
blame you.
it's a sad situation in Tennessee right now. But yeah,
Well, they'll get it figured out.
I hope so.
But we're, within 2 years of being a horrible team, we're suddenly ranked number 8 in the nation. So it can happen pretty quickly.
Exactly.
And I do hope that for you. That being said, you know how players, especially when they're recruited, they're like 5 stars or 4 stars or 3 stars, and like, oh, the 3 star is not as good. Okay, so
Exactly.
journals have a similar sort of system,
Okay.
and it's called an impact factor. In other words,
I,
how much of an impact, how many people are going to read this, how affluent, not affluent, but how prestigious is
okay.
being published in this journal.
And they're saying they don't have even a rating.
They don't have a rating.
That's not good.
That doesn't mean
I,
they're not good, but it was a little surprising to me because I just Googled them and then looked, and they say they are working with Clarivate Analytics Social Sciences Citation Index to obtain one.
Okay.
I would, I'm not saying don't do it, but I'm saying, um, if they don't have one by the time you want to submit,
Right.
I would, I'm not saying I wouldn't do it, but I would think twice about it.
Right. It would be, I guess, in my field, what I do professionally, I know that a lot of my colleagues across the country, they consider it to be something that is noteworthy. But, if it doesn't go beyond that, I'm not sure that it's great.
Well, it's
And
not
I
the end
may
of the
look,
world, but I don't
yeah,
know why they don't have it yet. It may be a new journal.
it's
Um,
been around for several years.
well, then
I've
I
read
don't
all
think
the I've read all of the old publications. When I was doing my own research, I was going through everything that they had. Yeah, it's been around for years.
well, it's just really strange.
Yeah, that's
Um,
concerning.
they want your submission to be 25 to 30 pages. That's pretty normal.
Right.
Don't exceed 35. Um, I think your paper would work well here. It's just a matter of that sort of, if there's another journal that's just as attractive to you,
There
then
are some autism journals.
you can always type in the word, type in the journal name and then the word impact factor.
Okay. Good to know. I did not
In
know that.
fact,
So thanks.
let me just show you this. Okay, you can see my screen.
Yes.
Okay, so here I just searched for impact, and here we are.
Okay.
And it just says,
Excellent.
at present, JPEG does not have an impact factor.
Okay.
But, if we did something like, JAMA's like one of the biggest journals ever,
Most prestigious.
right?
Yeah.
Whereas sometimes
Is it 100-point scale or what? How big is the scale? Because they're at 56.27.
I don't know what the upper limit is, but here's like Journal of Research in Personality. JRAP. Here's one I do some peer reviewing for, and I just typed in the word impact factor, obviously.
Right.
And here they're saying it increased recently. So it changes every year. But right now, what are they saying? Maybe 1.976 is what so it's sort of a rough estimate, but the higher the impact factor generally,
Right.
the harder it is to get published within that journal.
Okay.
So like JAMA, if I used to work in medicine a little bit, and Journal of American Medical Association was, like if you got published there, you were amazed, you were really happy.
Right. I used to write grants for our Chattanooga
Mhm.
part of the medical school that's actually in Memphis, Tennessee, the University of Tennessee Medical School.
Right. I have a friend that went there, so yeah, I know it. And Memphis is only 2 hours for me.
Oh, okay. My husband grew up in Memphis.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's good or bad, depending on what area of Memphis.
I think he's in East Memphis. Yeah, he
Yeah.
loves Memphis. We don't get up there often enough, but yeah, Arkansas. I think they used to go to Arkansas often for vacations.
Yeah, it's
Beautiful.
parts of it are beautiful. Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, so just that's one thing I probably need to do a video on it, on impact factors. I need to do 1,000 videos, but that's one.
That I've never heard of that. That is good to know.
Yeah, so just compare it to that star system of like recruits or whatever example is used, or like when you watch a movie, you're like, how good is this? And if it's got,
Right.
if you're me and it's less than 5 out of 10, then I'm like, this may not
Not
be
so
very
much.
good. This
Right.
may not be worth watching. And so I'm less likely to watch something that's a 3 or a 2 for sure.
Exactly.
Unless I just want to make fun of it. Um,
Which we
but
do. My husband and I will watch terrible stuff just to kind of make fun of it.
yeah, that's good. So yeah, journals have impact factors, and you want to sort of decide what plan you have.
Right.
By the way, if you'd allow it, and this is not what I'm recording, I record all my messages or all my meetings, unless somebody says, hey, I don't like that. But if you'd allow it, I could just post this conversation. It's up to you. If you don't want your face
I
in
think
there,
this is fine. I do not mind at all you
okay.
sharing this.
So I could just put it up there and say, discussion about publishing, impact
Yes.
factor, so, and then they'll all watch exactly what we're doing right now. So the thing I would say is you need to come up with a plan, and you need to think about how good your dissertation is. And
Right.
everybody obviously thinks their own dissertation is amazing. But the truth is some dissertations are much stronger than others. Not all
Right.
dissertations are created equally. That doesn't mean that you didn't work hard. Everybody has to work hard to do it. But for instance, my dissertation that I did was extremely difficult. I did all these things. I probably could have saved a lot of time and money by not doing them. That being said, think about, okay, what is the quality in terms of like, how much will the world care about my study? Or at least the people that are interested in my type of what I wrote about. How much will this sort of impact them? How interested will they be? And if it's like groundbreaking, wow, you cured cancer, that sort of thing, then you know what? Maybe you should go for a high impact factor journal, because you have a better chance of getting in there. But if your study was a little bit, well, it wasn't amazing. There were no really amazing findings. But I did a lot of hard work, but it just, it wasn't groundbreaking. Then you might say, you know what, I can submit this to a really prestigious journal, but I'm probably going to get rejected.
Exactly. And that's what I think I even mentioned during my defense that I do think the fact that I collected my data during the pandemic skewed a bit of what my results, my findings are.
Right.
And with that said, I'm almost thinking, if I should even add it to the title that this is during the pandemic or during COVID, what the responses were, because I'm not sure that this would be in average times what I got as far as, crying out for more interactions with people.
What was your sample size?
11.
11, that's not bad. Was it the sample size you were a little concerned about, or the how much they said?
No, it was more of, I was not expecting in the population of people who have autism to be this, the eagerness to have human interactions, which, again, I think that after you've been locked up in your house for a few months, that could have very much colored how they answered in the survey.
So did they respond more than you had expected?
Only in that way. I mean, it was like average responses. Of course, a lot of what was seen is like they're not very invested into the classes themselves. And but what I found was that just thirsting for human interaction, which is not what I would expect with, and I'm being stereotypical, but people who have autism.
Well, I'll say this on record, stereotypes are useful. That's how that's foreknowledge of situations. It's often wrong, but if you're gonna say to oh, I'm gonna meet this professor who lives in Arkansas, I bet he has a Southern accent. How dare you stereotype me with that? But it's probably right.
Right.
So there, as long as you don't use them, in a prejudicial, cruel, malicious sort of way, I think stereotypes are useful to sort of give us a head start on trying to determine what the situation might be. Anyway,
Right.
that's
And the
my thought.
symptomology, and thank you for saying that, but the symptomology that goes along with having autism is social awkwardness is sometimes, many times, a part of the diagnosis. So again, they've been
Mhm.
in their house for months when I sent out this survey, and it's like, I need people. Well, how much of that was COVID, really? Um,
So you're saying COVID, you think increased your response rate or decreased it?
I think it increased their responses of saying about,
Oh,
I want to have people in my life. I need human interaction.
so you think they responded saying, I was, I'm, they appeared to be more social in the
Yes,
responses than they
yes,
might normally be?
yes.
Then I think you should make that point and even maybe add it to the title. I think you're right. It's for a dissertation, branding doesn't really matter. But when you're
Right,
looking at what a journal, what will catch eyes, um, even a dissertation, I would do the same. But um, you want to sort of have a catchy title. Now, that doesn't mean you need to rhyme or say something weird or whatever. But if you also want to give some insight into what the article is going to hit on. So
right,
if it's going to be about, if you think COVID is turned out unexpectedly to be sort of an issue or a factor that was highlighted in the responses, then
I did.
maybe add that. And that could give people a little more preparation to say,
You're frozen on me.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to freeze.
Yeah, you're back. You're back now.
Okay. Um, yeah, so doing that and sort of thinking of the words, not, you probably did that on your dissertation, but think about it again and say, okay, especially it could change from journal to journal. You
Right,
know what? If you're doing JPED, um, you may say neurodivergent. And if you're doing journal of, I'm going to make something up, autism, um, then you might say, instead of neurodivergent, you might say the word autism,
right.
um, or autistic or ASD or something like that. So it's sort of like writing a letter to get a job, like a letter of interest. I'm going to
Right.
change
You
that
hit the
letter. If
point.
I'm working for Walmart, I'll say, or if I want a job with Walmart, I'm going to say, I just think Walmart's the best company in the world and I want to work for you guys. And then I'll take the
Exactly.
same letter and I'm applying to Amazon and I'm going to say, I think Amazon's the best company in the world and I want to work for you guys.
You
Um,
hit the selling points for what the journal is putting forth.
right. You're going to do that same thing. By the way,
Right.
I'm from Arkansas, so I have to cheer for Walmart. But yeah, you do that. You want to sort of brand, promote the things that the journal is going to be interested in and its readers are going to be most interested in.
Right.
Um, and you want to talk about those things and make your study as, because when we review journals, and that's largely how you get published or not. When you do it, when somebody reviews your article to say, I don't like it, or I like it, or sort of, here are the good things and here are the bad things, they are going to pay attention to how significant is this in the topic area, how strong were the methodological strategies and techniques, all the things we really sort of paid attention to when we guided you through the dissertation. So they're going to sort of evaluate those and say, oh, we like this, but we don't like these other things or whatever. And so you want to shine a light on your strengths and sort of minimize, discussion of your weakness areas. Or at least explain them, and say, well, this wasn't a very strong piece of the article, but here's some reasoning. Like maybe it was small sample size because of COVID, or maybe it was there's all these reasons, and you want to explain yourself.
I will. This is all great information. Thank you.
Sure.
I do have one other question, that's off topic, if you don't mind, and I know we're about to run out of time. Will they let me know when my PhD is conferred? I still haven't heard anything about that. And it's been like 2 or 3 weeks.
So I have no idea.
Okay, I'll check in with.
I'm pretty sure magical fairies do that.
Okay.
I don't really believe in magical fairies, but that's about how much I know about it. Somebody somewhere takes care of that. I don't know who those people are, and I just assume it's being done because
I will check in.
As long as my students don't come back to bother me about it and say, do you know how long it takes to get conferred? Then I don't worry about it, and I don't know. And that's where I'm at now. I'm like, does that not happen magically? As far as I know, it happens magically. So I'm sorry about that.
No worries. No worries.
The next edition. The next edition of this video can be you coming back and saying, hey, Goodin, here's what I learned. Here's how it happens. And
I'll be a reoccurring character in your videos.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I can do that.
So
the story of Christy, that's a subtext in all of your videos.
Yeah, we'll tag you in all the videos, and you'll be YouTube famous.
Of course, yes. But thank you so much for meeting with me. I think I have enough to get started on, and I don't want to bombard you, but I will let you know how it's progressing.
Sure. You're just the main thing you're going to do is trim it down. It's probably it's over 100 pages right now, maybe over 200. I don't know.
It's over 100.
So it's somewhere around 150 pages probably, and you want to trim out a lot of the lit review, all the things that are sort of in a dissertation, and you were like, oh, that's only in the dissertation so that I can prove I understand X, Y, and Z. So you're taking out a lot of the detail, a lot of the what otherwise could be considered fluff, or like this is only, if you can identify this is just so my chair knows that I understand that these other designs of a qualitative or quantitative study would not have been as appropriate. Okay, good. You don't have to discuss the other ones for the journal article. You can just take all that out of the paper. You're not going to review as much literature in the journal article. There are several sort of areas that you can sort of say, look at a normal journal article, which you said you have, look at it and see if it talks as much about the things that you've talked about in your dissertation, and then cut those out, that the areas that aren't don't seem to be in the other articles.
Right.
So that can be difficult to do, but I'm always willing to look at it again if I can help you, if I can. And I'd say this for anybody: if you want me as an author on the paper, that's something that we can always discuss.
Okay.
Otherwise,
Very good to know.
and I would put in more work. If I was an author on the paper, I'd be like, okay, let me review it, edit, work on it.
Yeah.
Um,
That's good to know. And
Yeah.
once I bring it down a bit, I may send it to you and say, okay, are you interested in this? So
I
yeah.
would say, I wasn't your chair. So if you enjoy working with your chair, they're a person you can have technically 1,000 people on your article, but
Right.
3 to 5 is normally a good amount, or less.
Okay.
So 1, 2, or 3 is sort of what I'd suggest. So
Maybe you, Dr. Lachansky, and me.
right, that would be good. And you'd probably be first author. He would probably be second author. It depends on who does the most on making it a journal article, but he's already done a lot because he was your chair.
Yes.
And I haven't done as much because I wasn't your chair. So I would be more of a third author. And medicine, the last author is the big deal. But outside of academic medicine, it's sort of the person that did the least. And so that's where I would belong, truly, unless something changed in our process together, where I put in just tons of work and I sort of, and Litansky wasn't interested, or he wasn't very involved, and I did a lot of things to make this article palatable and good.
Right.
Then I might switch up to a second. But that's something to always discuss anytime you write an article with people.
Okay, great.
And I always tell people, hey, don't forget your chair. Your chair should,
Yes.
unless you just hated that,
No, not at all.
you want to offer that to them, and they can say no if they're not interested, but you want to, I always reach out to students and say, hey, do you want to do this? But then I also say, have you talked to your chair about it? You might want to involve them too, because they have
Yes.
put so much effort into it already.
Right, right.
Sound good?
Well, that sounds good. I appreciate you, sir. I hope you have a good night.
Sure, you too. Take care.
Okay, thank you so
All right.
much. I'll be in touch.
All right, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.